Imagine owning the largest Counter-Strike game mode, ranking thousands of dollars and millions of players, only to lose it all. Sadly, this happened to many beloved game modes that were either lost in time or for reasons you might not expect. So to find out why this happened and if they will ever come back, we need to dive into stories of fallen Counter-Strike game modes, beginning with Surf? Why is nobody here? What started as a passion project by the player Marioned quickly became a rising Counter-Strike game mode. But wait a minute, you may be wondering how a game mode this plain blew up in 2017, at a time where game modes like this were on the rise. To find out how this happened, we need to go back 20 years ago, when a player by the name of Marioned played with his friends on one of his maps called KA_box. Despite having a basic design, the game had infinite things to do. However, this was one of the game modes that sadly died out before it even got big. It was called a knifing arena. The attackers came down from this hill, sliding down in a minecart or surfboard, and had to plant them, but the defenders had turrets on the roof to prevent the attackers from coming down, and these were especially hard to reach since everybody only had a knife. But while playing, one of his friends accidentally fell off exactly this roof, making him slide with extremely fast speed, and with that, Surf was born. They found out that if they could perfectly time the jump, they could boost themselves onto this ladder, reaching the turret and making them basically win every game, and all that just relying on the simple CS movement, which hopefully won't backfire. With that, he took the roof and stretched it, making the first ever Surf map, and he made a lot. So he started making his first server to show other players the mode he just invented. But players didn't understand the concept. Once they joined one of the Surf maps, they fell to the ground, making them rage quit, which almost made Surf become another failed game mode before it even started. So he and his friends waited all day on the server until new players joined, and one by one, they taught them exactly how to surf, building a community that then taught more new players how to surf, and so it quickly spread around. They just made one fatal flaw. In the server settings, they forgot to disable weapons, so the players, instead of racing each other, would just shoot each other. However, instead of fixing it, they saw players liked it, and so Surf PvP was born, attracting even more players to the concept of surfing. And quickly, players saw the potential money they could make, and new server owners quickly started forming, some even claiming they invented the mode. Even with all this, Marioned wanted to give the players something to grind for, since it quickly became boring to just surf back then in CS 1.6. Maps weren't that big due to the limited file size, and by not big, I mean they were tiny. You could usually finish them in under 30 seconds. And with less players, a lot of server owners shut down completely.
Yeah, this mode probably doesn't have a future.
But one player would soon come and save Surf, even making it one of the most played game modes in CS history, because when CS Source released, a new era of Surf started. Despite still having a basic design, with the new technology in CS Source, the maps began to become way bigger. However, the players didn't care. The game mode became boring, and surfing rapidly started to lose its popularity. Now, Surf was at the brink of dying out. He had to be quick, because servers already started going offline. But before we can look at that, we have to look at SkinsMonkey, an automated Counter-Strike trading site that allows you to instantly trade, upgrade, or buy new Counter-Strike items way cheaper than on the Steam market, even with tons of filters. And thanks to SkinsMonkey, you can currently claim a free $5 by trading up to $100 worth of skins or less when you use the code Dogsushi, as well as a lifetime 35% deposit bonus if you enter code Dogsushi. You can enter it right here, or click the link in the description to also win CS skins every week. Because meanwhile other game modes blew up, there was one thing Surf missed that another very popular CS mode had, because behind the scenes while Surf was rising, a mysterious unknown player spent years on a mod where players got split into two teams. The goal was simple. One team started with knives, and the other with weapons. If the team with knives knifes someone, the player becomes one of them, and from then on can only use knives as well. Infection. The only problem was, nobody played it. So he stopped updating the mod, and since a newer version of CS 1.6 was released, it wasn't even compatible with servers anymore. However, one day a player called Merciless randomly found Infection and wanted to play the mod with his friends, so he took the code and updated it. But knives are boring. He added zombies. The game mode immediately took off, and since this change, the mod is now called Zombie Plague, causing the mode to reach 5,000 online players across all servers, which at the time converted to 20% of the entire player base. A nice motivation to keep things going, because players spent thousands of hours and hundreds of days grinding Zombie Plague. All because in version 3.55, Merciless made one of the most important decisions yet. To keep players engaged, he added never-before-seen mechanics such as adding shops for defense and making zombies have different abilities based on their class that players could unlock by leveling up. Not knowing exactly this change would soon lead to the unavoidable downfall of zombies. Since as time went by, Merciless got tired of making updates over and over again, since the mode got very repetitive and players already started to lose interest, making player counts drop so much not only server owners, but also he completely shut down the mod. But if you truly want to be the best, you must always push forward. So to fix this, a random community member called Diaz took the mod Merciless Abandon to put all his time and effort into making a new mode. His new mode's release could either go well or be embarrassingly horrible, making months of work and sacrifice for nothing, but he was far from done. Being a dedicated dev, he used his time to grind out an entirely new game mode. Unlike all other modes, this one had way more potential.
My mode will change Counter-Strike forever.
Because instead of just copying the old one, he took inspiration from another one of his favorite game modes, Death Run, a mode that sadly got lost in time. Because in this mode, you get split into two teams between the runners and the deaths. The runners start at the beginning of the map and must navigate through traps, mazes, lasers, and obstacles in order to reach the room where the deaths are in before the time runs out. The deaths, on the other hand, have the task to stop the runners from entering their base, but they don't have any weapons, so they have to stop them by activating these hidden traps and obstacles. Since the maps used in Death Run were specifically designed for Death Run, it was something new at the time that didn't exist before. Even though the exact origins and the creators responsible for inventing Death Run are sadly lost in time, it quickly became the most played game mode at this time. So Diaz remembered Death Run from his childhood and took some maps. And now, it was time to combine two modes. Not knowing he would create the most iconic mode in CS history, he released Zombie Escape, the mode we all know today. All that because he added one important part. Instead of trying to survive from the zombies, this time, the point was to escape from them on the Death Run maps that were a mix of riddles and parkour. And because he saw the rise of the surfing community, he even added some surf parts to the map. But this wasn't the biggest difference of the two modes. Boss fights. Yes, bosses. From cubes, giant squid sharks, and dragons, you had to defeat them while zombies slowly started to fill the arena. Players were on the edge of their seats. From that point, Zombie Escape almost didn't look like Counter-Strike anymore. And due to this, there would soon be new Counter-Strikes only featuring zombies. So a few months later, the mode started to take off. Thanks to how unique and grindy it was, players spent thousands of hours studying the maps, grinding for the best classes, and making their own maps they sold to server owners like PlagueFest, Gamers for Life, and Hellescape that quickly became the biggest zombies servers. So now the question is, what happens when a money-hungry server owner suddenly gets thousands of players? Oh no. Now instead of unlocking classes, they made them only accessible if you purchase them with real money, disguised as donations on their website. And to make even more money, they added custom skins and OP items, which was kind of unfair, but made them hundreds of dollars every day, which spread around the whole community, with other day one servers like Hellescape also turning this game mode into a cash grab, making the mode almost unplayable. Players weren't happy, but there was an even bigger problem. Meanwhile, a lot of surf servers started to shut down too. It seemed the era of community servers came to an end. So something has to change quickly, or otherwise these modes will soon have the same fate as Knifing Arena. After months of hype, the original creators of Zombie Escape abandoned the mod and let the community work on it. Mainly because even though they made the mod, they didn't own a single server, and seeing other people make thousands of dollars with your work is getting depressing. And with the fall of Zombie Plague and Escape, it's time to retire this game mode forever. Despite finding instant success, server owners made a few mistakes, causing Zombie Escape to vanish off the community server list, making tons of day one servers like Hellescape shut down forever, after not having a single server run this mode at the launch of CSGO. So at this stage, most game modes would get lost in history. Wait, what? Okay, to fully understand this issue, we need to go back to the reason why game modes never die. A big reason being the community, because if you paid attention earlier, Surf saw that players wanted something to grind for, and the server owners had an idea to save Surf from dying out. So server owners like KSF added something that would soon change not only Surf, but Counter-Strike forever: speedruns. Now, instead of just racing against your friends, you could submit your fastest times, and as a reward, get posted on the KSF Records YouTube channel, which helped many creators that we know today get their first subscribers. And now, with more views, more maps got created. From almost dying out, the game mode rose again, making it the most played game mode besides competitive, getting more players than casual matches. Almost 30% of the entire player count being on community maps at its peak in 2017 in CSGO, with the biggest server having 1.7 million unique players that month alone. Learning from zombies, they now sold custom skins, ranks, and even made it so you could play with whatever knife skin you like, which attracted thousands of players that just wanted to see how their favorite knife skin would look like in-game. Exactly this would soon invent skin servers, like the one from ohnepixel.
Copy link address, you go in game, !I, then followed by the link, pang, I have the 3.87.
Servers started to make thousands of dollars each month, which made servers more and more professional.
/hide hides everyone, /hide chat hides chat. and quitting console will hide everything.
And now you could even vote on which map you want to play next. If you didn't want to play with one of the 1.7 million players, you could now buy private servers from KSF to play whatever map you wanted. And after 12 years of consistent rise, server owners broke the limits of how big a community game could be. Surf was in its second prime.
Just slide, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So on the right side of the ramp, you want to hold A.
A and D, right? And then W to move forward. Can you
The
repeat?
right side, you want to hold A. So the side you're looking at, you want to hold A on it.
Wait,
So rather than killing the game mode as soon as Counter-Strike Global Offensive released, the Zombie Escape server owners adapted and learned from their mistakes. For many months, they crafted a better Zombie Escape, but with way bigger maps, minigames, and bosses during release. Because even though the original creators always quickly stopped working on these modes, that is exactly what made them what they are now. Instead of working on the mod alone, now the entire community can work on it, which made it evolve way quicker. Even though those modes died twice and made their way back to the top, behind the scenes, things started to bubble that could ruin both of them forever. Considering it's almost 2024, and CS2 was about to be released, and with that, the whole game would change. Because if you paid attention at the beginning, the idea behind Surf was simple, just relying on one crucial part of CS, and that being the movement. And here is where the twist comes in. If they would change the movement even the slightest, Surf would die. Also, after all these years, most of the known legendary map creators already left the game. And with the release of a new Counter-Strike, all maps that have been made over the past 10 years for Surf and Zombies had to be remade, not knowing if community servers would even be a thing anymore. So Counter-Strike 2 released, and they changed the movement. Surfing didn't work at first, so the community had to figure out a way to make surfing possible again. And they did, changing a lot of stuff like velocity, gravity, and more in the console. Surfing was possible again, just not as it has been. Surf felt weird, unresponsive. It wasn't anything close to the old feeling. And with that, players lost interest in surfing. The community servers slowly started to die out. To this day in mid-2024, you rarely find any servers that are full. And with less players, the mode completely slowed down on new maps. This was a massive problem, considering how repetitive and formulaic maps can get once you finish one. It gets even worse. With the release of CS2, they removed one single feature that was the core of every server, Fast DL, or Fast Download. This feature automatically allowed you to download maps and plugins. Without this feature, you were basically thrown back to 2004, and almost had to download everything manually before joining a server, which scared off a lot of casual players, which were the biggest percentage of players, making community servers fall off even more. So currently, the future of Surf doesn't look that good, and it's far from what it used to be. On the flip side, Zombie Escape seems to make a comeback, at least in Asia, and there were actually multiple attempts of saving Death Run, especially Sniper 13G, where instead of being split, everyone was on the same team and had to help or leave others behind to win. He tried to give it a new touch, making it work like Squid Game, before Squid Game even came out. Sadly, this mode was never finished, even though it received over 40,000 upvotes on Reddit. Actually, there hasn't been a new mode invented since 2015. But if we look at the big picture, the fall of these modes have one thing in common. They always came back. All that because of the unique communities that spent thousands of hours forming these modes to what they are now. And now with CS2 getting more and more polish, these modes actually have a bigger potential than ever. With CS2, servers can now have more players, bigger maps, and it even got easier to make them now. If we throw our preconceived notions out the window, it seems like it's more of a matter of time until the loving community comes back to those servers and writes CS history again. And speaking of them, I truly love making these kinds of videos for you. So if you want to see more, let's get 5,000 likes. And don't forget to tell me which server or mode I shouldn't forget in the next video. If you have any memories, write them in the comments, and maybe you'll be in the next video. Make sure to subscribe. So I hope I could highlight those long forgotten makers of the mods we all played in our childhood. But for now, that's it.